We do continue to bring you some reaction. We're joined by industry practitioner, Dr Sipho Sithole. Dr Sithole, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. Tributes are streaming in. Flowers are being placed at the scene of the tragic incident. What's your reaction to the news?
You know, let me say, Friday I was at home emceeing, deep in the rural of Msinga in KZN, which all of us know, have known it for faction fights, and which now recently is known for Izinkabi. And I think they were the first region where people started making homemade guns, and it is perceived to be the most feared region in our area. So the issue of guns and is something that we have lived through. But let me say, on Friday night I heard it, I think probably, I'm in this WhatsApp group, Yabom Rapper, we're about 9 of us, we call each other culture. And I first thought it was just a lie, you know, but I just couldn't sleep. I could not believe what was transpiring, because it began to emerge that it was actually true that AKA and Tibz have passed away. For me particularly, because I've invested a lot on the hip-hop culture, even my PhD is on hip-hop. I've researched this genre, and I've looked at how young people escape poverty using this art form, and how they have emerged and became successful, and only just wanting to rap and wanting to be heard, you know. Even my focus on my thesis was that young people are speaking, but I don't know who's listening, you know. And having seen a good-spirited human being, the last time I interacted with him, we were doing this jamming to soccer celebrity tournament that Big Zulu and Kuzani had started, where we had hip-hop, Maskandi, Gom, and Amapiano playing against each other sometime last year at Vets Sports Complex. And I remember that I took him out before the game finished, and he was complaining. He said, but Sipho, I was the superstar of the game. I was the superstar. You're not supposed to take me out, you know. And I said, but we needed to give you a break and get other people to come and play. And how he has always referred, when I spoke to him, my last telephone encounter was when I spoke to him about the floods in KZN, and I wanted him to make himself available for the fundraising concert that we are planning. And his response to me was, Baba Sithole, you know, whatever you ask me, I will always be there, Baba, you know. And we've lost people in this industry. I've lost families myself, but I have never been so distraught when I heard about AKA. These are young people who chose just to rap or sing, who have no 8 to 5 job. All they want to do is being what they are, which is creating, contributing to the creative economy of this country. And to see, I mean, I saw the video, Paul, of this person who just ran after him, a coward, absolute coward, wouldn't even face AKA, and shoots him right at the back and runs away. That's, to me, I think, I even posted and said, they've just killed hip-hop. The culture itself, we don't know this gun violence in this music. That's really what it is to us. And it's painful.
Dr. Sithole, you speak about something really important here. You speak about gun violence, you speak about hip-hop, and it's not something we're accustomed to in South Africa, but when it comes to hip-hop in the US, for instance, gun violence seems to be very prominent. Is there a correlation, or are we now moving towards a trend that could be mimicking what's happening in the US?
We've never had beef between artists in this country to the extent where the fans, because really the gun violence is not the artists who are beefing with each other, who then go and shoot each other. It's people who take sides that I'm the biggest fan of this act, and now you are dissing my fan. I mean, the person that I look for up to. I mean, we saw this in politics during the black-on-black violence in this country, when if you were with the mass democratic movement and the ANC and Mandela, you were then opposed to this other faction, and it was the other way around as well. But those people were never killed, but people were killing each other for them. And that is what has happened here. It's not artists fighting and then drawing guns and killing each other. Boxers, they go to the ring and they fight. Tina, we grew up in the village where if you have beef with another one, they give you 2 sticks. You will have a stick fight until you say, I'm fine, I think I've lost this. And then the guy who is beating you will hit you in the head and say, and that's it. Then you know, so that is how it always happened. There is no instance where we've had that this big act and this big act were fighting over who's supposed to be successful. Is people, I don't even know what the story behind this.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not coming back to your question. I hope this doesn't come to this country, you know. Even in Maskandi, we hear about beef between whether it's Ogama and Kuzani, but it doesn't get to the point where each rival fan is now going to go and take up arms and kill each other, you know. And it's something unique to us.
You spoke about your last encounter with AKA, and I know that in your role as an events organizer, you were once quoted as saying that you have ensured that 34 artists on the lineup are of the best standards. AKA was one of those artists. You rated him in high standards.
To me, that event, if we did not have AKA at Moses Mabhida, unfortunately the event didn't take place. If we did not have AKA at Moses Mabhida, and Zonke, as just to use an example, besides, Kuzan and all of that, but AKA was my number 1 on that list. And when he responded to me, I called him personally, and then he says, Baba, whatever you ask me, I'm there. To me, it touched me. Because in most cases, people who are in showbiz, the most difficult people to get through is the management. But when you eventually talk to the artist, and the artist says, they're talking to me, I'm not saying that management was difficult. I'm just saying, because I know some of these cats, if I can use that at a personal level, I can talk to them, but still respect the role of managers to say, I must still say I've spoken to the artist, or do you mind if I speak to the artist myself? And his response was, I'm there, you know. And he this is the guy that has taken hip hop outside of South Africa, has taken it to the continent, you know, and he has brought South African hip hop to the world, and that is what has happened.
Just last month, a musician, Vusi Maar5, was gunned down. In November, DJ Somebody also died under a hail of bullets. And now it's AKA. Last night, I spoke to cultural activist Eugene Tshabalala, and he mentioned something quite striking. He spoke about perhaps just looking at the lifestyle of the artist, saying that sometimes there's a mismatch. There's a mismatch between the work that's put out in terms of entertainment and being a musician and the kind of caliber of lifestyle, saying that he thinks that there should be calls for a lifestyle audit. But before you answer, I'd just like for us to quickly listen to what Eugene Tshabalala had to say to me last night.
Some of the artists who are living this high life, they are not living the high life honestly because they have made it out of the music. But there are artists, I think the DJs, especially the DJs and some of the artists who are rubbing shoulders with the wrong guys. The wrong guys, when I say the wrong guys, from the dark world of drugs and illicit and immoral activities, who then use these artists as, you know, a conduit to clean dirty money. And when things go wrong, then they find themselves having been, you know, killed in such manner. It is my premonition. It was my premonition at that time. But when I said this, it was 2021. And soon after that, it started happening. We saw the DJs who become successfully out of nowhere. They become successful, and then they get to own clubs or restaurants. And after that, there is execution style of deaths that are happening. So that is my suspicion that, you know, because of these pressures that people want to leave this Hollywood, to project this Hollywood lifestyle, which they cannot afford, looking at our markets who cannot even buy 500,000 of our music, of our albums. It is only Brenda Fassie who was able to get with one album to sell over 500,000. But these artists are living such lifestyles that are not justifiable with what they are doing.
Dr. Sithole, just listening into that, what is your reaction?
It upsets me what Eugene is saying, because I don't know about the Pretoria scene and the clubs and stuff like that. And AKA came from the ground. He came from a group called Entity. It was him, and it was Sizwe, who's now Dr. Sipho Welsh with a PhD from Oxford. It was a guy who became a lawyer and is now in the financial services, in the banking sector. So you can see that AKA was the best artist. So we can't even doubt whether...
Let me bring in some context. We were not speaking specifically about AKA, just looking at the trends that we've seen over the past few months, looking at the lifestyles of artists and whether or not artists should be subjected to a lifestyle audit.
I cannot comment on that one, Mpo, because the comparison between the DJs and the club scene and the ownership of clubs that is happening in Pretoria, and hip hop for hip hop's sake, and the artists just being the rappers and being the best at they are. One cannot say that and I know you are not referring to AKA that he could have died because of his lifestyle. He was hip hop, and this is all we know. Whoever killed him and whatever they killed him for, I may never know, but I cannot start to speculate that maybe because what do we know about AKA? We don't know him owning any business. We don't know him running any club. All we know is that you put him on stage with his band and you're going to get the best performance ever. He was an artist, a true artist. I mean, there are people who... I mean, to achieve the status of being an artist, besides just being a rapper, is something else. This is an artist that had mastered this art of rap. Rap is difficult. I mean, to sustain 56 bars, rapping without repeating a word, to the point where everyone actually appreciates you for what you are. Maybe it was jealousy. That's all I can think of. You know. Yeah, that's all I can. Maybe it was just pure jealousy.
Yes, we never know. The investigation is underway. Thank you so much, though, Dr. Sithole, for weighing in, industry practitioner, speaking there about the legacy that AKA leaves behind, talking about his work and the caliber of artist he was. We do